What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's video we are going to touch on the Giants defensive line performance, aka this video is going to be pretty much a tribute to Dexter Lawrence in his amazing season that he had. According to Pro Football Focus, for the top 101 players of the 2022 season, Dexter Lawrence was 15 on that list. And honestly, Big Sexy Dexy, on part of his great dance moves and everything else he did, he really stepped into being the player that we drafted him to be. It took him a couple of years, but this year he really put everything together and was pretty unstoppable. I think this was illustrated in a couple of different games where he was just completely unblockable. But I think the one that comes to everyone's mind was that Vikings game where he just was so unblockable and kind of took over. I do want to highlight some other stats that Dexter Lawrence had. He had 19 quarterback knockdowns, 7.5 sacks, which is great for a interior defensive tackle who's probably being double teamed the far majority of the time. So the Giants haven't really seen this success from sort of an inside D-tackle presence in quite some time. He also accounted for 36 pressures, which is pretty crazy as well, and 7 total tackles for loss. But honestly, throw the sacks away or stats away, and when you're watching him play, he's just on a whole different level this year, which is why he earned that Pro Bowl spot. I think one thing to keep in mind is that he is going to be in free agency after this upcoming season. But I think this will be the first time that we'll see, for example, the Giants, when our really good D tackles get up to a contract, they usually let them walk or trade them, and by that I mean even going into the past, right? You look at guys like Barry Cofield, Linval Joseph, Jonathan Hankins, just to name a few, were guys that we just kind of let walk when their second contract was due, and they were pretty good players. I think for Dexter Lawrence, he's a completely way better than anyone that I just named there. Maybe like Linval was pretty good, but he was never. I think Dexter, exceeded everyone's expectations thus far. And what I am hoping is, as a captain on this team, that they do make him paid, and rightfully, deservedly so, just due to his presence. And there should be some upcoming cap space coming up, because when you do look at the rest of the, I'm just going off of the ESPN depth chart that they have, at lefty end, we had Jihad Ward, who was sort of a Wink Martindale guy that they plugged in. Jihad Ward was pretty scary. He had an okay season. Some things he did good, some things he did bad. I'm not sure if they'll bring him back or not. And then the big one coming up is Leonard Williams. When you look at Leonard Williams, how much he's owed or made, I saw some stat a couple weeks ago or a month ago when I was looking at Leonard Williams, career earnings. And for someone who's made like one Pro Bowl, he's one of the most wealthiest players of all time at a non-quarterback position to make as much money in the NFL as he has. I do think Leonard Williams did have an okay season for us. He's one guy, and I think the Jets fans saw this before they traded him to us, is that he doesn't have a sort of his presence doesn't really show on the stat sheet as much as you would expect of a guy that got drafted top 10, right? And who has made, almost, I think, like over $100 million in career earnings. Yeah, so Leonard Williams per overthecap.com, career earnings at $91 million, pretty crazy when you think about it. And this was a guy that just got drafted 6th overall and made one Pro Bowl in 2016. 38 total career sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries. So he doesn't put it on the stats, again, like what I was just saying, but he does make a difference on the defensive line. Now, having said that, he is up for another monumental paycheck. So going into 2023, his base salary right now is at $18 million. I don't know if Joe Schoen is going to be very happy to have that as the base salary. And you have to look at it from like a dead cap space. I don't know. I feel like all these teams too, if you look at the Saints and the Rams, year over year, they're constantly just converting people's base salaries into bonuses and stuff. So I'm sure Schoen will do something along those lines if they do want to keep him around. I don't think it could hurt, but again, it just comes down to how much he's making. So maybe he would want to get more from somewhere else if the Giants cut him or trade him. But It'll be interesting to see how they convert that cap space. All the backups too this year really didn't do too much on the Giants' defensive line, and this was a defensive line that really got gashed on the run. They did a good job on the passing, but I mean that probably is a little bit more on the linebackers, which we'll touch on in another video. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the Dexter Lawrence appreciation video of his 2022 season. He was absolutely amazing, and I hope he continued to do this for the Giants for quite some time.